Spooky.
Happy Friday, January 2nd, everybody. It is 2026, which feels like science fiction to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm old. And every passing year that I'm alive, it's like a year that I wasn't sure I would get to, which is morbid but true. It's Friday, and I'm keeping these guys up after their bedtime because they too are old. And if you weren't aware, Steve, who's the fellow wearing the black hat with the beard, is the fellow that narrated the hat trick for me, as well as the Colony of Lies novella. And he's the dude who did An Undead Glitch, which is the book that we're kind of here to talk about today. And it releases on the 7th, which is in just 5 days. So I'm ultra crazy, super nervous about it, and also excited at the same time. And I don't know what to do with that energy. But Steve narrated it, and Tim, who's the other fellow wearing a hat with the beard, he's the one with the glasses. If you're curious, not this guy with the glasses, the other guy.
Right. I know. We if we were playing Guess Who, this would be really challenging.
Right? Does he look like a bitch?
Put my card down.
God damn it! It's like with Samuel L. Jackson, right? Anywho, the cool thing that kind of came together, and Steve, you may have to refresh my memory because once again I'm old. Tim does music, chiptunes music. Correct me if I'm wrong when I say that.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know what chiptunes music are or is, if you've ever played, an old school console game, and you've heard, the music in it, that's all essentially the kind of like meat that chiptunes music is made of. Am I correct, Tim?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's kind of just become like the genre term for like when people say like video game music, but specifically like since video games have gotten to have music on par with movie scores now, they kind of had to differentiate between what people meant quite by old school video game music. So it's just kind of referred to as chiptune, and it's sort of just become its own genre. A lot of musicians out there will just kind of create that style of music because that's what they grew up with, and it's not even for a game. And so that's sort of like what we tapped into for this project.
Yeah, so it worked out really great because Steve was like, my brother does this music and it's all like video game like noises. And if we're doing a lit RPG, and I was talking to Steve, and I think I was like, maybe we could do like noises to like hype up moments in the game, or like little ping notifications when a message comes in, which is some of the bigger lit RPG books have that kind of like audio stuff added to it, and it just adds like so much quality, right? And Steve was like, let's get Tim in, and then I went to Tim, and Tim was like, pay me, bitch. And I was like, all right, cool. And basically, Tim, you sat down, and I gave you like a list of things that I thought would be really cool.
Actually, he does it standing up, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I do. I'm actually sitting just for this interview. Otherwise, I would have been standing.
Wow.
This is the view of me doing chiptunes. It's just this.
It's just belly.
Yeah,
a lot of belly
and a lot of t-shirt action.
That's good. That's good though. That's good. You got to represent your fandoms, right?
So. Yeah, for sure.
So you basically built a library of noises that Steve was then able to put on the menu, and when certain things happen in the book, when he's narrating it, he can just like ka-ching, and
that's right,
and you added it in. So Ryan here is talking about your view. It's
oh yeah no, you know it, Ryan. Just crotch shots.
Yep.
That's
the chiptunes. That's all it is.
That's actually the name of your sex tape, Ryan. Just
JCS.
That's it. That's all we got.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
But that's exactly what it was. It was like we were amping up to start, and I was trying to make sure that I had the bank for the beginning, because I knew it was going to be easier to add these things as I was going, rather than like try to remember what sounds were needed in what chapters, kind of a thing. And so we, for the most part, did it. I think I was like maybe 4 or 5 chapters in by the time we had all of them, kind of the first round of them done. There ended up being a second round later, but it was pretty good. It was pretty seamless. And once I had them, it worked exactly as you said. It just literally ding, I'm reading your words, and now there's a a level up that the character gets, or there's an achievement that the character gets, or there's certain ones that you only really hear a couple of times in the book. There's if a boss is defeated, or something like that. And then there were things that I sort of discovered along the way where I was like, I really want a money sound. I remember saying that because there was a few times in the book where he gets a cha-ching moment, right? And I'm like, I really want a cha-ching, but I want it to be original, so it's our cha-ching. And that was something I went back to Tim with, and I was like, hey, can you do me a cha-ching? And we have we're brothers, so like we have such a language between us that we have one brain on a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So I can tell him, like, write me something cold, and he'll write me a cold song that'll sound cold.
Not like
and
cold.
He knows, right? Yeah, and he knows exactly what I mean. And right. But yeah, so sound effects, but also you wrote 2 songs for it as well.
Yeah. The kind of opening and the closing theme for the book as well. And yeah, just to kind of establish for folks, the process of kind of making these was, it's just sort of my hobby, and it's super fun to. Oh, actually, yes, you can. If I can share my screen, I can probably play that. I don't know if audio will go through. But yeah, so the process for making chiptunes, I use a program called Furnace Tracker, and for this book, like with everything being zombie related and having that horror angle to it, without it being like a horror all encompassing genre. Chris, you had kind of mentioned that you wanted to take some inspiration from Romero's film scores and try to pull from some of that. And so I was listening to some of the music and was just really getting a feeling of like, I want this to sound like the Sega Genesis. I feel like the music that's for this book should just evoke, like, I don't know if you've ever played like Shakan the Forever Man for the Genesis, but like there's just like this weird kind of like crunchy, ethereal, like
it's grunge.
Kind of
there's a grit.
Yeah, so like I was trying to think about this, and I'm like, if the Super Nintendo's music was like, I don't know, you want to call it like prog or like rock, whatever. I feel like the Genesis embodies like punk and grunge because it's just got that like nasty, like, I don't know, that grit to it.
Definitely.
And that was definitely what I wanted to do, but it's a bit of a challenge because a lot of the Genesis style instruments are like really harsh. They don't always sound great. So the first thing I had to do was kind of go through and like parse everything down into, what instruments I liked and would have like an identity for the book. So that way all the sound effects, all the songs would be pulling from these same 18 instruments or whatever. And yeah, this was honestly my first opportunity to get to do sound effects work, which was super fun. Like the cha-ching was not one of the initial ones. Chris, you had said, look for maybe doing like achievement, level up, quest complete, stuff like that. And then as you were going through the book and running into these moments where you're like, oh, this would be great, this would be really, an ideal thing to have here, it just started to pop up all these opportunities. So we had to do like a computer terminal sound effect. We did the cha-ching was super fun actually, because I was trying to come up with how to make it sound like you got money. And so I just listened to the Sonic the Hedgehog sound effect for when you clear a stage and it tallies up your score. It always gives you that cha-ching at the end. And so I was like, how did they do that? Like, how did they make that even sound like that? And it's so weird. Like, it kind of just sounds like a cash register going off, like the kind of till in a cash register. But that was just like, okay, let's try to come up with something original using that idea. But yeah, and the songs were a lot of fun to work on. That I think was really, where I got to sink my teeth into it, and I got to kind of do two styles. The intro theme is the opener theme is definitely more of that Romero long drawn out kind of like tension building, and then the closing theme I just went full John Carpenter because John Carpenter's music is awesome,
Yeah.
and I was like, whatever, let's just do something like totally different. So yeah, it was a blast getting to do that stuff. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen, I could probably play a sound effect over
It
this.
says you can on
Let's
your
give it a
end. I sent you a chat text which has like minimal instructions on how to do it. It has something to do with like you click your setup and then you can add it.
Okay, so let's see here.
I've never done it. I've never had a guest do it, so we're in completely virgin territory here.
Let's do it. Let's go into virgin territory. So
Story
if
of my life.
I share this, so everyone should just see Windows Media Player.
There we go.
No,
Let's
I'm
add
seeing
the
it.
scene.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Cool. Yeah. So the get money sound effect is this.
Oh,
Were
it
you able
didn't
to-
come through. It didn't come
Okay,
through.
so maybe it doesn't play audio. Maybe it won't share that.
I think you can set up your audio to do that though.
Okay. Let's see. There's got to be a way that I can make that happen for folks. Let's see. I'll play around with it.
Cool. Take your
Could always, if nothing else, just play the file on your phone. Hold it up to the mic, or I could.
True.
We'll figure it out. We'll ghetto this shit. We'll Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree file sharing. Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of the process there. And yeah, as the need for sound effects kept coming up, just kept kind of cranking them out. And I think the computer terminal sound effect has been my ringtone for like when I get a text message for a few months now. So I feel like I was able to just really have a great time working on this.
Oh, that makes me so happy to hear.
Yeah, and that computer terminal sound effect ended up being so charming that what I did was I suggested we start every single chapter with it, just as like a hey, a new chapter, we're here kind of a thing.
It is a phenomenal noise to like
It is.
to like grab the listener's attention.
I love it. Yeah,
and like even though there's the narrator voice change, right, which is mechanized, if you will, it's still like it's just like a cool. I mean, it's a great noise. It's just a fantastic sound effect.
Okay, I think I got it. It was just a tab that I had to check off. I didn't see that.
Right.
So all right, so it should share it in like 3 seconds maybe. Okay, cool. Yeah. So if this is super loud, I apologize.
There it is.
There it is. So that's the get money, the little cha-ching cash register. And then for doing the computer terminal, that's kind of just the powering up. Yeah. It's just got this like little blurp that comes out, and I feel like, Steve, that was sort of what you said. You're like, I don't know, it just needs like a bloop, like a computer bloop. And I was like, all right, I don't know, figured that out. It was really like puzzles that I hadn't solved before, of like, I don't know, how do you make just like crunchy shit sound like something,
right.
Which is super fun.
Yeah. Were there any sound effects that either I or Steve asked you to do that were like, I don't want to do this anymore?
No, honestly, it was all fun. Full disclosure, it was like you said at the top, like, oh, I demanded that you had to pay me, and I'm incredibly honored that you were able to pay, for me to do this for you. But if push came to shove, I would have done it for free. Like, honestly, like this kind of stuff is like, it's a hobby, it's a passion, it's something I never really get to do, and certainly not to benefit someone who's a friend, a fellow creative, anything like that. It's usually, here and there, and I just do stuff for my own music on SoundCloud or Bandcamp or whatever. But no, honestly, you probably could have asked for 10 more sound effects, and I'd be like, yep, sure, sounds good. Let's just rock it.
Yeah, it well, from a financial standpoint, right? Like, I'm a creative, right? And when people are like, just do it for the exposure, right? the answer to that is, well, people die of exposure, right?
Yeah.
Like time is money,
Very
unfortunately.
true.
And in
Yeah.
order for me to do this as a living, I need to make sure that I'm doing things that feed my kids, right?
Yeah.
And like, of course I'm going to pay, like, and you did such a good job. And it was like such a seamless thing with you and Steve, being family. And it was like just so neat to be checking in with Steve on a regular basis, where he's like, dude, you got to check this out. Like, Tim did
Check
this
this out.
badass
Check this
noise.
out.
And I'm like, like, go check it out. So, I mean, it was just like, it felt like a privilege that, I was
Awesome.
able to interact with the both of you during this process, and then like
Oh.
have it just like come out good, like,
Yeah, dude.
in my
That's
opinion,
the
good.
best. That's awesome. No, I mean, likewise, right back at you. Like, it was a privilege to just be able to kind of hear the audiobook as it goes, and just see how each little preview that I got from Steve, how things were coming together with the mixing and incorporating all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be super special for.
And you
for
haven't
people
heard
that are
most of
gonna-
it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just
Yeah,
a
I've only
couple
heard
of
a few
things I
chapters.
I wanted to. Yeah, I shared like the first couple, so you guys could hear the voices I was doing and hear where the terminal was at the beginning and different things. And then I think just the end credits. I wanted you to hear how that final song ended up sounding, like with everything, and it's just awesome. I love both songs a lot. Obviously the songs aren't in it too much, but I think there's a fine line with music in audiobooks. I mean, it certainly is done. There are certain audiobooks that I've listened to that have it at the beginning of chapters, but when there are so many chapters, this book has like, 50 something chapters, you really are going to get sick of that song.
Yeah.
So you're it's almost like becomes a chore to listen to it, and you don't want that. So I think it works best if there are, certain novels, the way they're structured. Sometimes you'll have like major parts of it. It'll be like section 1, and that has a bunch of chapters, section 2, and that has a bunch of chapters. So maybe at the beginning of the sections, you can play a little song, something like that. But yeah, it just gets to the point where it's too much. So we're like, all right, now let's just leave the intro song for the beginning, and we'll do a second song for the end. And certainly, I mean, going forward to the next books, we could keep the songs the same. You could change them up. It's whatever Chris wants, whatever Chris wants to do. But it was definitely, they're very fitting. I loved what you came up with, Tim. I mean, they're really, really great. But those sound effects is where I was working with, like, obviously the most.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite probably is that opening terminal sound that just starts every single chapter, and it's just, it's a constant. It's always the same volume. It's always the same exact timing. And I made sure that where the name of the chapter comes in is at the exact same amount of there's the same interval between the sound effect and the beginning of the speaking. And so I think it has a nice sort of rigidity to it in that sense, and kind of forms an identity that feels, very structured and very professional. I hope, it sounds very, very professional, and I think it's cool. But the important thing is that Chris loved it, and
Sure.
and that's the big thing. So hopefully everybody else will too.
Yeah. Right.
But I also really love the achievement sound, and there's another sound that was like, when you pick up an item. The item get, as Tim and I would always say from Mega Man, item get, and so the weapon get, so there's like an item get sound, and then there was a point I reached in the book where I'm like, there's this concept of the best loot, the epic loot or whatever,
right,
and that only happens I think twice in the book. But when I got to it the first time, I'm like, I can't be playing the same regular old item get sound. I need the epic item get, because there are all different levels of items, but that's okay. They can share the same sound effect, but that epic item, the best gold item or whatever, it needs a different sound effect. So that was in round 2 when I asked Tim for a couple. I only like 3 more, I think.
Yeah.
And that was one. I'm like, can you do a version of the item get. Give me item get, but give me the epic item get. Give me the best version of that. So it needs to be the same jingle, but just make it best.
Better.
So let me, I'll share that for folks too. This gets recorded, right? People can watch this after the fact.
Oh yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, awesome. So, all right, so the regular item sound effect is this.
Oh, that says get legendary.
Yes. Yep. So this one's the regular. It's just kind of got that mellow sort of, and that little like phase out on the end. You guys able to hear that one? Okay.
Yes, subtle. It's good.
Cool. Yep. And then the legendary item is. So it just sort of builds on the top of it. I just took the same sound effect and I just added like some higher instruments and harmony and whatever just to make it sound like a little bit extra.
On the last stream I did, which was just me, I didn't have anybody else on. At the end of it, there was somebody who was asking, like, would you record it yourself? Like, if you could do it yourself, right? Or, like, would you use AI to create, audio stuff? And the answer to both of those questions is absolutely no, right? AI, obviously, because I just don't like the idea of like removing a job from a living person, right? And also, I don't trust the machines. But the thing that I love
as we shouldn't.
Yeah, the thing that I love about working with other people is that dynamic moment where someone comes in over the top rope, like Jimmy Snuka, and it's like, dude, like let's tweak this, or I have an idea, and Steve's saying that like it's an epic legendary item, we got to like pump that up a little bit. I never would have asked for that because it was not on my radar. But you're sitting in the studio recording it and you have that moment of inspiration. And then you go to Tim and then all of a sudden this great idea has just come in and made something that I was in love with even more in love with, right? And that collaborative element of working with talent and like watching what happens when you're not in a vacuum is like, I mean, I don't know how many people have that opportunity, but it is like so soul satisfying to be like in a room with other people who have great ideas,
Right. The art collaboration and just sort of brainstorming and stuff, like initially the sound effects, there was like maybe 4 or 5 sound effects and jingles or whatever. And then it kind of ended up being 12. And each time that, Steve, you had like a moment of going, oh, okay, this one actually we might want like a different version of this or a truncated version of that. If I was out going to the store or whatever, I would be like, oh shit, I just want to like go right back downstairs and like goof around and try to come up with something, because that's just another reason to go play around with art form and just enjoy the craft of it, just like you do with a book, and you have an idea, or somebody who reads your story, they might talk to you at a convention and then go, hey, this was really awesome, what do you think about doing something like this? And before you know it, you might incorporate something that that's super cool. It's a great process.
It is. Ebo is talking about Ready Player One, which I don't know if you guys have read the book or seen the movie, but
I've just seen the movie. I haven't read it yet.
The book is better. It makes more sense than the movie. And Ready Player One was, and it's not the first of the kind of books that was lit RPG, but it definitely like opened the door to the idea of game experiences as like literary possibility or cinematic possibility in a way that nothing really else had, because like there was like Tron and there were other, movies and stuff where people were like inside a game, but the specific lit RPG genre has just become this like juggernaut that's growing day after day. And I really liked the Ready Player One book. Like I remember reading it when it first came out, and like it's all nostalgia, right? It's all like talking about 80s and 90s stuff, and D&D and arcade games and like all of the stuff, feeding quarters and at the Pac-Man machine. And there's this kid who's like trying to level up, right? He's like trying to better his life by playing this game that everyone plays, and the economy moves through the game. So the more he plays, the better his real life gets.
Okay.
And like it's such a neat idea to kind of launch an entire concept of storytelling that's structured around a game, right?
Right.
And going back to the music idea, when you're doing an audiobook, right? Like Steve, you mentioned that, like if you have something in there that's too much, right? If a sound repeats itself too many times, or if there's too much, like the opposite of dead space, where it's like filler of just music or whatever, you lose people. Yeah. And then there are audiobooks too that have like background music going on, like when a tense scene comes up, they start playing like, canned music that's tense. And I find that I get distracted by it. I like, ooh, something scary is about to happen. Thanks. But with the way you guys work together to create those moments, it's like little bites of improvement that like highlight everything. And I don't think there's any of that, abuse of attention span, which, I'm just thrilled by.
Cool.
So.
Well, that's really great. I mean, this is the third book that I've done for you, as you said in the beginning, and they've all had some degree of extra stuff in there. We haven't done music before, and I think there was not as much with Hat Trick, but with Colony of Lies, there was a lot of like effects and vocal stuff that I played with different filters and different things to accomplish certain types of characters. There were like mutants in that, and there are things like somebody's talking over an intercom, and it would always be like, I'll just float it by you. And this seems like it should not sound the same. We're supposed to believe this person, the second voice is coming over an intercom. It should sound like that. But that is different from what we did here. We definitely went to the next level with this one with different other stuff. We have sound effects, we have music. But you're right, there's no music in the background except the very few times there is like a boss who gets defeated. And that's it. And it really is like, maybe twice. And so I was very cognizant of making sure that it all felt as if it belonged in this book, because it's like, well, all right, this is chapter 30 or something at this point, and we're going to do something we haven't done yet. And is it going to sound like it belongs is the question,
like out of
right?
nowhere or something.
Right. And it's definitely a worry and stuff, but at the end of the day, all we can do is trust our instincts, and everything's run by you. You were listening to it as we were going, Chris, which is awesome. But I mean, I just got done listening to an amazing Audible production. It's these, I think it's Graphic Audio puts them out, but it's the Hellboy full cast recordings that Christopher Golden does. And the last one was Christopher Golden and Tom Snigoski did the third one, The Goddess of Manhattan. But I'm behind, so I just listened to the first one, and it was it's called Plague of Wasps, and I was listening to it, loved it so much. It's like beyond loved that. I just had such fun with it, and I'm listening to it, and all I can think of is like this book and what I just got done doing. And it's like, wow, the Hellboy was, I mean, it is a full cast recording, so it is not apples to apples at all. But it's like, yeah, there's not only background music like you're saying, but they will actually play background ambient noises.
Right.
Like, for instance, we're in the jungle, so you're going to hear like the just ambient crickets and just jungle ambiance, just like, and then we go inside and you hear the footsteps as they walk on the stone, or if they walk into a cabin, you hear like echoey footsteps on wood, and it's just so much more. I'm like, wow, this is truly a different category of thing than what we created. We're somewhere between just voice and nothing else, which is, I would say, most audiobooks, and a full cast recording that's like an audio play. We're somewhere halfway, I think, with this. And I think, hopefully people, recognize it as being unique too. And it sort of occupies this kind of weird halfway spot, and, feels kind of unique. I don't know. I hope so.
I'm so excited to get feedback on it. Like from a writing standpoint, right? Like I have Patreon and I'm posting chapters of the stuff as I write it, and my 50 or so people who are on Patreon are like giving me feedback sporadically about things they like, things they don't like, and typos, right? Because there's always typos. And for the most part, the people who are on my Patreon are either like Pollyanna silver lining, nothing can ever be wrong because it's you, right? Which is great, right? You want those people behind you cheerleading you all along. Yep. And then there's the absolute buried needle opposite who are like, this sucks. You can do better, right? And actually, I need those people too, right? Because like if I can do better, I need somebody to tell me that before it goes out into the real world. But once you get to a refined point and things are moving forward, and things are kind of set in stone, and major rewrites are done, and it pretty much is what it's going to be. Then you like start getting like real feedback, right? So I send it off to a couple other writers, and I'm sending it to Steve, and Steve's doing the recording on it. And so far, the majority of the feedback of people who have experienced it has been really quite positive, right? And these are people who don't have skin in the game, right? Like if it sucked, they would just say it sucked,
right?
So yay, right? But then like there's this whole other level of when the audio hits, and the audio is so fucking good on this, right? Like the recording, the music, like everything about it, is just like a 10 out of 10, and I'm so excited for it. And I haven't gotten like any real feedback about it yet. The sample is up on Audible, but it's like just a couple of minutes, and it doesn't highlight all of this other stuff that we've been talking about. So, I'm sitting back here nervous and excited and, like waiting, because like I feel like the best possible way to experience this story is what y'all did. And nobody's gotten a chance to get a taste of it yet. So in 5 days, people will get it delivered to their device of choice. And
yeah, hopefully what's going to happen is that it'll just take people by surprise. I mean, Steve, the work that you did, from what I heard, the samples, all the different like vocal effects and impersonations or voices, accents, whatever you kind of did in all these different directions, different computer voices, things like that, already elevates it so much and sounds so awesome. So like that stuff combined with all the other game sounds that I was able to provide, hopefully it's just going to catch people off guard in a good way and be like, wow, this is such a surprise. I had no idea there was going to be all this stuff in here.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think
Oprah's ears.
I'm worried the country of Ireland is going to be coming for my head, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's not Dick Van Dyke Cockney bad.
I think you'll be just fine. People have to do accents for stuff all the time, and yours was good. So.
They're too drunk to do anything about it anyway. So,
and it's not Ireland now; it's Ireland in the future. Come on, guys.
Right. Who knows? The accent changes.
Who are you to say how he sounds? I don't know. Right. No, I had a lot of fun with Declan though. That was great, and he was definitely a favorite character to do the voice for. I always make sure the main character is just usually my voice, because it's comfortable and they talk the most and whatever. But then Ebo says they'll be too drunk, mate. Don't worry about it. Too right. But yeah, and I think my favorite character to voice, and I haven't told you this, Chris, but my favorite character is the AI Sirona. Oh. I just really liked her. I actually wish there was more Sirona in this. I was like, da 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 every day. My Sirona. Damn it. Every day.
Was there something about the way she talked or interacted that you thought was entertaining?
Well, I just like them talking. I like the interactions with them probably the best. And I think that it becomes very, very, very interesting at the end, which I will not give away, but there's some really great plot stuff there. But no, I really liked Sirona a lot. And I liked doing her voice. And there is there are two main characters that really there are just two. Well, there's some monster effects that I throw on there for some of the super zombies that you end up, introducing later that felt right. But most of the characters, it's just me. But there are two computer voices, and you had told me this, before we started. We had a phone call, and you had written me all these great notes, and they were incredibly helpful. And the phone call was incredibly helpful. We really, went through it. You had really put a lot of thought into this. I mean, there were some notes you gave me on characters that were in it like for one chapter. I'm like, wow, they never came back. But you had given me, you had thoughts about how they should sound, and that's just so incredibly helpful. Because for somebody like me who's trying to make everybody sound a little bit different, certainly not that I'm Mel Blanc or anything, but I'm trying to make them sound as different as I can anyway, so that the listener has no trouble discerning who's who, kind of a thing, especially if they're having a conversation or something. It's hard to come up with characters all the time on the fly when somebody new walks in the room and you're like, Jesus, who's this person? What are they supposed to sound like?
What do they sound like?
So it's so great that you did that, and we were able to just hash stuff out. But you said, there are whole sections of the book, if anybody's out there who's seen the text from your Patreon or whatever, there's a lot of bold text in the book. And the bold text, you explained to me, was it's kind of like the host of the game. It's like the game's canned AI, like the game's narration, the tutorial kind of voice. And it just was, I was recording the first chapter, and I wasn't actually planning on doing any effect for that. And then I'm switching between the narrator and Seth. Seth is the main character, and Seth has like parts where he narrates, and then most of the book is told in first person. But there is some narration that he does. And then there's narration that the computer does. And it just didn't sound right. It wasn't clear because they needed to hear the bold. Right. You realized when you were writing it, you wanted that text to stand out and be very obviously the computer talking. And you could have accomplished that totally different ways. You could have done a different font or something, but you knew that was something that you wanted. You wanted that text to stand out and be obvious that was the computer. But people listening just wouldn't be able to have that. And if it was just me again, it was like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like you wrote it. It would probably be okay, but it just didn't feel right, So I had, like the first day I sat down to do it, I'm sitting there literally the first day, and I'm like, I just don't feel this. Like it doesn't work. I want to try messing around with some effects, and then so I ended up with two big computer voice effects. There's the host AI, basically, which is the male version, and then there is Sirona, which is Seth's personal AI. So she's like his link to the game, and when he has questions about something, she's like his FAQ and his like personal assistant. And he will ask her stuff, and she sarcastically responds, usually insulting him along the way for fun. And I made the male voice, I pitch shifted it not a octave, not even close, like an eighth of an octave. It goes down just a little bit, and it's just enough. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on that makes it sound a little bit robotic. And then with Sirona, I pitch shifted it about that same amount, just about an eighth up. So she's just a little bit higher, but it's not too much. It's subtle enough that I don't think it sounds like it's been screwed with. It's sort of just, I think you're just not thinking about it. And that's what I want. I don't want you to listen to this and go, wow, this guy can do these things. I want you to not even be thinking about that there's a person reading it. I want you to hear the character.
Characters just come out of it.
Right. And I think that this was accomplished, and it was just those two voices, and that's it. And then later on there was like, well, we got super zombies now. I don't know. I feel like this needs to sound a little grosser. But really it's very, very minor amounts of characters, very small amount of characters have vocal effects on them. Most of it's just, me doing an accent or something, and then you gave me a surfer dude, which was just a gimme. I'm like, I could do Keanu Reeves all day, man. Like like no problem. So that was that was easy.
Yeah,
Slam
one
dunk.
of one of my favorite moments during the process of recording was you messaged me pretty early in the morning, I think, one day, and you were like, "Hey, can I make character X British?"
Oh, I said German. We ended up with
Oh yeah,
British.
German. Yeah, that was right.
Right.
And I remember being like, I don't know, like let's do British or whatever. And the funny thing about that was, is it had never occurred to me that that character might have a different voice at all. And you had your reasons for asking, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like I like that. Like that totally twists like stuff down the line. Because it opens up opportunities for like what that character's background could be that I hadn't built into the story already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that idea. And also for those of you who are still here with us or return to us when it's recorded, I went to Steve early on, like when I was still probably a third of the way into the book, and I knew the character of Declan was going to happen, and I was like, "What accent can you do? Like, what's an accent that you can just do, and it's not like a stretch for you?" And you settled on Irish, and I was like, "All right, cool. This character's going to be Irish. What do you want his name to be?"
Boom.
And he was like, Declan. And I was like, all right, cool. Declan, the Irish guy. And then I took that inspiration and then wrote the rest of the book.
Yeah.
With, Steve's, thumbprint on it, which, for those of you who listen to the book, Steve
Endlessly
named that
cool.
character and decided
Endlessly
to
cool that you
choice.
did that. Yeah. That was very cool, man.
Yeah.
Declan's a name I always liked. And that's just so cool that you did that. Yeah, absolutely.
And, his arc originally was going to be more subtle and less impactful on a lot of the stuff. But as I was writing him, and partially because I was inspired by the fact that you took some ownership over the character, right? His role became bigger, and scenes that he would not have been a part of, it made so much more sense to have him step into. And again, that's that like working in a room full of creative people moment where something even better than what you had comes over the top rope, and then you take that and you incorporate it. And now, like, one of the bits of feedback that I get, that I've gotten consistently, is that people really like that character.
Okay.
They really like his arc and how he develops over the course of the book, and the way his he doesn't really talk about his past that much, but the way he reacts to things that are said illuminates about what his past could be or what his private life could be. And people just love that about that character. And I take a certain sense of enjoyment out of the fact that like people have gravitated to the character that you helped like guide the creation of, that's like, oh, cool, Steve's guy's popular,
Nice.
And I'm just super excited because I know that in your recording, so much of what resonates with a good audiobook is the narrator interpreting the writing, not necessarily for the words that are said, but also for like the intent of the moment. And reading humor where there should be humor, where it's not quite reflected, or where there's like tension, where it's written as a 3, but as the narrator you interpret it as a 6, and you say things a little different. You add inflections and pauses and whatnot, and you do a great job of interpreting my writing.
Thank you.
In that way, because like when you're reading stuff, it's like, oh, that's how I would have read it. Or I would have paused there too. So again, just excited for people to get to it. And we had Tim's music on top of it, and it's like,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like a good audiobook just is almost an entirely new piece of art, really. Because reading the book and hearing it in your head is one thing, and then when you have a really good narrator like Steve, you just end up experiencing the book in an entirely different way. So I'm sure there's going to be people who don't get to listen to the audiobook first. And so that also adds that there's so much to this recording that really just sets it apart as a different way to enjoy An Undead Glitch, right? Like that's kind of so awesome. Just using that same format and getting to hear like the the inflection and the accents and all the effects and music and stuff like that. Yeah, it really is a very cool, like, you know, audiobook plus, like, I don't know, EX edition, like whatever you want to call this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like I said, it's halfway between a regular one and an audio play. It's not either of those. It's
Yeah.
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Audiobook plus,
Audiobook
yeah.
2 Turbo plus EX edition for your Street Fighter.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's super cool. And I, as far as like this whole genre of a lit RPG, like I did not realize, I'm not like a huge reader myself. I'll read like some comics and manga, and I read stuff here and there.
I mean, he reads my shit, at least.
I do,
so
I do,
that's
but
good.
like,
he has no choice.
But like, yeah, right. I don't have a choice. But no, it's all good shit. But my point is that I didn't realize that Ready Player One started a movement. I remember everyone I knew was talking about it when that book came out, and I did get to see the movie, and I do genuinely want to read that. And I feel like listening to the audiobook for that almost seems like I have to do that now because of kind of what we've gone for here. But yeah, I mean, it's super cool, and it sort of adds this new layer to like the types of projects that, you know, I could be looking for to try to, you know, lend my kind of talents to, because I think I really, for the longest time, have just been looking for like independent studios who are either doing a lot of podcasts, you know, who are looking for like a little stinger or a little theme or whatever like that, like just 30-second stuff, a minute. And then ideally someday I'll find a game that I can actually score. But this concept of like audiobooks and lit RPGs and things that are books that are going for that game tilt is wicked cool. And I had no idea that this was even really a thing. And so it's very exciting and fun to get to work on this with you guys first. And I mean, you know, whatever stuff comes down the pike, obviously, Chris, all the stuff that I've already made for this book is yours to use forever, and please do. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to just do whatever other stuff that kind of comes out of your mind, whatever pops up, and just see where that takes us, because it's like a whole cool new art form that I didn't know anything about.
I agree.
So it's very exciting.
Well, I have said this to Steve, I don't even know how many times, but like I believe that your brother is a fantastic narrator, a terrific author, which is a whole different, you know, bag of worms. But the work that Steve has done on the books that he's narrated for himself and the stuff that he's worked for me, it's like, damn, this guy's good. Like, he's really good, you know. And I've said to him 100 times that, like, if you just get more exposure through the work that you're doing for the people you're doing now, then I think more jobs will come in, and you know, you could do this for a living, absolutely. And you know, you make a great point, Tim, with the fact that, like, I think what you do is a very, very unique skill set, where you're able to bring in, like, I don't even know how to say this, but like, there's so much nostalgia built into the sounds that you're working with, right? So like, you scratch, you know, earlier on, Ryan was like, that scratches my goblin brain, right? Like, when I hear the stuff you make, I am immediately 10 years old again, right?
Super
and
cool.
The thing that really blows my mind about it is the fact that in fucking like 3 seconds of audio, you're able to capture an emotion.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
I appreciate that.
It actually works. And that, like, as a writer who needs to spend 100,000 words to tell a story, I am absolutely bamboozled by how you're able to do that. And I think, like you said, like, there's so much lit RPG content that's coming out, and so many audiobooks in it. And I think that the opportunity there, that if this gets some traction and gets some listeners, I mean, I've got a lot of buddies who are authors in the genre, and if they hear the book, it's quite possible that you might start getting emails, and I hope you do. Like, I want you all to be successful.
Oh, well, I appreciate that immensely. I mean, it's like when I started doing any kind of, you know, chiptune stuff back, I don't know, it was probably, let's see, what are we, 2026 now? So I'd say maybe 14 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. You know, part of it was like, you know, Steve had a lot of art that he would do, and he would do pixel art of various different, like, what if we made these Mega Man bosses? What if we had these, ideas for a game that never happened? And so seeing that art from Steve was kind of the kernel that inspired me to kind of learn how to do any of this, because I was like, well, wouldn't it be also neat if we could like come up with the stage music for all of these what if characters, and just sort of give like a excuse to do art, right? For an idea to work around. And then like so much of that was just taking like a very small idea of like a boss that's fire themed, a boss that is space themed, a boss that is water themed, and just using
give me a cold
that,
one.
Right,
I want something cold.
Yeah, using only that, just try to propel that into like, okay, let's write a song, let's do that. And so that's always been how I've approached music, is I try to come up with like an atmosphere or a vibe that I'm trying to go for. Like it's like seldom if ever where I'll just kind of like make a song apropos of nothing in my mind. Like I'm usually like, oh, I kind of want this to sound like, some kind of like, I don't know, airship music, or I want this to sound like it's like cybernetic, like kind of cyberspace kind of thing. Like I don't know, there's always something that's kind of driving forward of like, okay, what ideas do I actually end up putting down, where am I going with this? So the fact that you felt that kind of atmosphere come through with the stuff for the book is amazingly awesome, and it's a huge thank you for saying that. And I'm glad that was the effect, because I mean, listening to a lot of the songs and stuff that you gave me as an inspiration, I was like, wow, I don't know anything about writing music like this. Like, oh, let's try it. Let's try to do something that fits this. So that's really awesome. Couldn't have been happier with that.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Just impressed. It's so neat. It's so cool. All right, pivoting.
Yes.
Your brothers.
Yes.
We've met.
A huge amount of like shared interest and shared experiences with you two, especially around gaming, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And all things from that era. And I on the outside looking in, I'm like, well, what's some cool stuff that these guys have done together? So what's some cool stuff that you guys have done together for gaming, like marathons, like crazy achievements in games? Do you guys like have meter measuring contests over who gets the high score on Frogger? Like what's
I mean, it's all
on this whole
I mean, it's mainly the wiener measuring, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we check all the time just in case it changed. You want to be sure.
Right.
Keep that stuff up to date.
Gotta know where you stand.
Well, there are good days and bad days. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Right.
And temperature is a factor, and
it's been
how much sleep you got and all that stuff. I mean, well, so we are both co-hosts of the Retro Redoctopus Cephala podcast, as we call it. It's our fun nostalgia show that we've been doing for, believe it or not, this is going to be our 8th year. We have our first episode of season 8 coming out next week. Next week is Tuesday. It's coming out. So Chris has been on that show. We got to talk about sexy Patrick Swayze hair. That's literally, I said, do you want to come on and talk about your books? And he said, honestly, I just want to talk about Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That's what happened. That's literally what happened. I'm not even kidding, guys. That's literally what Chris said. I'm sick of talking about my books. I want to talk about the Sways.
Yep.
So we did. We talked about the Sways and various things. That was a couple of years ago, but we have fun. So video game related, we have lots of video game episodes, but there's something we started doing a few years ago that at this point I like to call the Couch Bro Op. And this is when Tim and I will IRL in Meat Space get together and couch co-op a game that we've been meaning to play probably for decades. Maybe one of us played it, the other one didn't. Maybe neither of us have played the game. Maybe we both played it but never beat it. Something like that. But we'll go through and we'll just beat the game, and then we'll record an episode of just talking about it. And our most recent one that we recorded was on Maniac Mansion. I don't know if you guys remember Maniac Mansion for everything. It was on the original Nintendo, but it was on everything. ported to everywhere. It's such a
Old school
popular
LucasArts
point and click
game.
And then we had to follow that up with the sequel, Day of the Tentacle, which we had neither of us ever played.
No.
And so we just
heard about forever, but
we
never
just
played it.
Yep, last week, everybody's
Tuesday.
off.
So today's Friday, 3 days ago.
We beat Day of the Tentacle in 2 sits. And so we'll be recording an episode next week about that, another couch bro up, as we call it. And so, yeah, I mean, we do love the video gamey shit. Like, that is a thing.
For sure.
Especially the classic retro stuff, which was just perfect for this. It just felt right, Even though it's in the future and it doesn't have to sound like video gamey. But if it sounds like modern day sound effects and modern day music, it's going to be
just gonna
the
sound
same
like
as a movie. It's going to be this. It's not going to feel intrinsically video game, quote unquote.
Exactly.
So it needed to sound retro. It had to have that feel.
And like who's reading and listening to these, right? Like who are the people?
Old guys.
It's older dudes, people who have been in the game for a while, right? So it was perfect. Yeah. So retro, the podcast, you guys do. And correct me if I'm wrong, mostly stuff that revolves around nostalgia and like hobbies.
Yeah, that's the idea.
80s and 90s, right? And we did the episode where we talked about like cheesy 80s movies where it was like over the top, Roadhouse, and I forget the third one.
I don't remember all the ones we picked. I feel like maybe did we talk about Stallone's Over the Top? Did we talk about that?
We did.
Yeah. There must have been a Schwarzenegger. There must have been like Commando or
Default.
I don't know, Running Man or something. I don't know. Stuff like that, and that was that topic, and we try to come up with a topic that's like that's laser focused, and then everybody who's on the show gets to pick a couple of their favorites that fall within that topic, and we get to just all geek out and share our feelings. And
the Facebook group that goes with the podcast, I've been in the group for I don't even know how long now, and you guys put up the post before you guys are going into the studio about like, hey, we're going to talk about these toys.
Oh yes,
or hey, we're going to talk about this video game, or hey, we're going to talk about this thing, and people chime in, and you guys use that to fuel how the episode goes. And I always love seeing those posts because it's
cool.
Sometimes you just like come out with like these really batty ideas that are so niche and obscure, and it's like, that's a good idea.
Get your brain scratching.
8 years into it, it's harder and harder to come up with laser focused topics. But
I find that the ones that I get the greatest kick out of are the toys. Because like one of you will post something that's like a toy that I had completely forgotten about. That I got like that's 3 of for Christmas one year, and it was like I totally forgot about those things. Oh my god, they were so fun,
dude! Do you remember Sectors?
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Battle Beast. Yeah.
Oh man, but I forget what it was. There was one that you posted the other day. And when I say the other day, it could have been like a year ago, but it was like it was the night looking dudes that had like the armor and the helmets that came off, and they had like holograms built into them.
Supernaturals.
Yeah. And I remembered when that post came up, it was like a rush of memories that like I had like 8 of those things. I had duplicates because like I have a big family, and for Christmas one year I got like 9 of them, and I had utterly and completely forgotten that toy existed.
Yeah.
But then I saw that post and I'm like, now I got to Google it.
Yeah.
And I sat there for a half an hour going down this rabbit hole of this obscure toy line that, as far as I know, didn't do anything.
No, it did. It was weird.
I mean, anywhere.
They tried. That was one of the 2 big 80s toys that tried incorporating holograms into the actual toys themselves.
Big thing.
It was as if it was the next big thing. They're like, it's not just for cards anymore. We can have action figures, but of course, it didn't actually work out that well. And the other one was the Visionaries, but the
Yep.
Visionaries had figures that were very much just like they basically were GI Joes,
Yep.
and they had parts of them that maybe they had a shield or part
Yep.
on their chest or something. Some guys had like these staffs with
Yep.
a big thing on the top, so it's like, you know, your banner
Yep.
marching into battle sort of a thing. And it would just be a little holographic piece or whatever. And of course, Battle Beasts had the what did they call them? Rub signs. I guess Transformers did as well,
Yeah.
right? And those were
Yeah.
heat activated, so you weren't able to see what their allegiance was until
Yeah.
you put your thumb over the little thing. But that was technically it's a little bit different. It's a different type of hologram
It's a
or
gimmick.
holographic thing. But
Right.
there were toys that were playing with that idea. But Supernaturals and Visionaries were like the big two that were like the 3D holograms that were incorporated, and it just didn't work. It just did. It was weird. But
I love those figures though. Like holograms aside, they were in my memory. They were some of the first action figures that had like gear that like came off. You know, they had like
maybe.
helmets that you know came off.
Helmets,
Maybe,
and
yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of
weapons,
something
and
different.
all kinds of elaborate stuff.
Yeah, and you know, like I used to get a kick out of the GI Joes where like the gear would come off and like the helmet and the visor came down. Like I'm talking like the first wave. You know, everyone wore camo green.
Yeah, you know, it's an early one that did that really sticks out in my mind was the very first Wolverine figure. It was like from, I think it was the first ever, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it was the first X-Men like figure line, and I think it was Toy Biz that did them. And the Wolverine figure, you could take his mask off, and on the package they advertised that the mask was like a ring for your finger. You could wear it. You could be cool, go to school with like a Wolverine mask on your finger, and like everybody would be like, "Oh my gosh, look at Jimmy!
My Wolverine thimble.
Oh,
It's
he's so
hard.
cool. We won't steal his lunch money today because he's got the Wolverine mask." But yeah, you know, your results may vary on that, but I remember that, and I remember thinking it was really neat that you could take his mask off. It's kind of
Totally.
funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I like to this day, like I get like a little like chub when an action figure comes out and it's got like accessories.
Mhm.
You know, like
Yeah.
I
You must love
that stuff.
Mondo. Mondo is so into the accessories.
And NECA too.
Yeah,
right?
big time,
Jesus.
big time. Yeah, they just have like gadgets and stuff. But like when you
Yeah.
guys are doing your show and you're coming back with all that stuff from like when I was a kid, I love that. It is such
cool.
a neat like experience to listen to a couple of guys who have like very similar mindsets to the way I was and the way I continue to be, and then be able to like listen to you guys like have that like excitement, and you're both so
Yeah.
knowledgeable about this stuff. Like I have no idea how you remember all this crap, and it's like going back down memory lane for me because you start talking about those things and like, oh my god, I remembered all that stuff, and I'm shilling for your podcast here. Plastic.
Well, I
person.
mean, you're a pro for doing so. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research that goes into every episode for sure.
course.
And I mean, like I was born in the 90s, so like a lot of my nostalgia is different. And so when we have, you know, an episode, like we kind of decide what topics we're going to do. Each person, you know, we kind of rotate who's hosting. That person gets to choose, you know, what they want their episode to be about. And so we just do our best to always just play ball. And whatever it is, you know, if it's a show that I saw a billion episodes of, or a show that I never saw, or toys I didn't have, whatever, it's like I try to go all the way down the rabbit hole, familiarize with everything that I can, and just try to be a part of the, you know, the wave. And sometimes you catch nostalgia for shit that you didn't even grow up with, which is sort of an amazing phenomenon, because you oftentimes think that there's no way that you would like things the way that you did as a kid if they came out today. But sometimes you do, though. Like there are some things where like you just go into, like we did a huge deep dive into the real Ghostbusters show, and like I mean I had never seen that show growing up, but like I think it's probably one of the best animated shows out there, and like now it still holds up like just as well as any other animated show I could stick at you from today. And there's just like there's been a lot of stuff like that too, even with like some of the toys and things that we talk about, like when we've talked about Nerf guns or something, right? It's like, oh, I want to just go to freaking Target and like check out the aisle of Nerf guns because they got the one that looks like an ankylosaurus, and like, how do I not own that? Like there's just stuff like that where you just remember being a kid and being excited about plastic stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's infectious. It's super fun to do that. And
I took my kids to Target the other day because so we do Christmas and Hanukkah. My wife's family's Jewish, and for Hanukkah we don't give gifts. We have this like big menorah, like paper menorah on the wall, and on each of the candles, the kids peel off a coupon for that night, and they open the coupon up, and it's like an experience or a trip or like something to do, not just a present, right?
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's really fun. And one of them's like, we'll take you bowling, or one of them's we'll take you to the movies, or
Nice.
we'll go to a bounce house or whatever. And one of them every year is like, we'll take you shopping for a toy. And it's like $25 and they get to pick what it is. And I took them to Target for them to cash in their coupon the other day. And I'm going up and down the toy aisle, right? And I'm like, can we hang in this aisle? Like no, just give me 5 minutes in this aisle, kids, And we were going down the Nerf gun aisle, and I was just like, damn, like I want to buy one of these so bad, like
Right?
what would I do with it? I don't know. And
Doesn't
my eldest Willow was like, are you going to buy one? And I was like, I really want to, but like, what am I going to do with it? Like, what am I going to do with like a fully automatic?
Just have it.
And I said to him, I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load it, and then I'm going to walk around the house and shoot everyone else in the house with my Nerf gun. And that's going to be funny for about 30 seconds because someone's then going to get hit in the eye, or you're going to take the gun when I'm not looking, and then you're going to shoot me in the eye. And I still had to talk myself off the purchase.
And it's going to be a slippery slope before everyone in the house gets a Nerf gun just to have level footing. Everyone needs to have, a weapon. Right?
Absolutely.
And when everyone's nerfed up, no one will be.
Right, exactly. Then you enter like the arms race, right?
Does that make sense?
Someone's 3D printing a fully automatic Gatling cannon, and you go to take a dump in the middle of the night, and my 7-year-old just up on me at 300.
I think it's possible you're overthinking this, Chris. I think it's very possible.
My kids, man, they're industrious. I don't know, but I do tend to overthink things. I actually have a shirt that says that. So
I'm overthinking something right now.
I think it's happening.
Generally speaking, yeah. Yeah. So the next time I do a live will be on the 7th, which is the actual day that the book releases. Right. So this is the last one of these that I'm doing prior to the book's release. Damn. And I put up a post the other day that I'm like super anxious and super worried, because like I want it to be received well and I want it to do well, but I'm also like crazy excited because I love the book and I'm just like stoked for it to get out. And like I have been, unlike anything else I've done, I've been like wired about this in a different way. And I think because I've like put so much into it, and just the writing of it and the research of it and the world building of it, like it's a huge project just inside my head and on my desk here. But then like we came in, to do this audio project, and Steve has put so much work into it, and Tim, you put so much work into it. So it feels like way bigger than just, recording a book in a series that I've been writing for 15 years, which, ho-hum, great success. And, I just been, feeling it, and I'm grateful that you guys have come on the show tonight. Absolutely. And Steve, you were on before, and just kind of helped me hold court and give me some company as I sit here trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do with my life if it doesn't do well. But yeah,
it's gonna do great. I mean, I think that people are hungry for this kind of thing, and I wouldn't be surprised, if this really springboards like a whole bunch of people that are just going to get way into it and want more, and realize that there's like this new type of audiobook that they can experience. I feel like that's going to also help people too.
I hope so. And like Steve and I have gone to multiple conventions and conferences, if not together, like meeting at the same place at the same time. And we went to Nikon last year, which I went for one day the year before at your urging, and went for the full writers conference this week or this past year, and had a wonderful, amazing time. And we showed up at a couple of other local area conventions and stuff. And I've been like off the con circuit for years because we had the kids, and the kids didn't travel all that great, and it was a lot to to travel with them. But we're traveling more this year. We're going down to the Scares That Care AuthorCon down in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we actually booked our flights today. And this will be the first like show that I'm doing with this book in hand, right? So I'm like thinking about that too. And Scares That Care AuthorCon is largely a horror leaning event, because you'd think with the name AuthorCon, it would be, a little bit of everything, but it started out as a horror convention and is now an author convention, but it still has all of the same horror kind of people. So
yeah,
it's run by Brian Keene, who is a seminal horror author of today. And I'm going to be showing up with this lit RPG book that has like horror undertones, right? So I'm excited for that. But also, like, I've been inspired to do more traveling. And one of the shows that I'm currently waiting to see if I'll be able to go to is Lit RPG Con out in Denver, which is there's only one, and last year was their first one, and it was big. Like it had a huge turnout. I don't know what the heck it was, but I saw pictures, and a bunch of the guys that I talked to who write the genre went, and they said it was amazing. So you're saying turning people on to this new audio.
Yeah, the fact that there's a convention that's already focused on lit RPGs is mind blowing to me.
Yeah,
so,
right?
yeah, I mean, damn, if you're gonna make an appearance there, that's gonna be huge.
Yeah.
Well, hey, knock on wood, if Glitch catches and I keep writing more books in the Corrupted campaign series, maybe we'll all go together.
Crazier things have happened.
We'll book a hotel room or 2 hotel rooms, depending upon if you snore or fart at night. And we'll have a booth, and we'll have like the whole experience, and we can network and have a great time together.
Yeah.
And maybe record an episode of Retro Redoctopus.
How cool would that be?
Out there, that might be really
fun. Yeah, sure.
right? So I'm dreaming.
You got big dreams, kid.
I do.
I don't want to hold you back. I don't want to bring you back down. You're flying. Keep flapping.
I just got to spring you guys from your home obligations. Ryan, do you guys feel like it just clicked as you went through this process? The way you talked about this feels like you all just had a gel from the get-go. What do you guys think?
Great question. I'd like to take this, actually. I was looking at that. Great question, Ryan. This is the perfect question, because I was wanting to talk about this. I would say absolutely we gelled from the beginning. Chris and I, for sure, we've said, this is the 3rd book I've done for him, and there is just, you guys, I assume, are all readers and fans of Chris's work, and he has a specific sense of humor. You go to a Philbrook joint and you're expecting a certain amount of dick jokes and
lack of class.
Just certain things. And I don't know, there is like a way that you write when I can tell like you're trying to say something funny, and I just know what you mean instantly. I almost don't have to think about anything, and that is not because I'm so good. It's because the two of us are just like, we have that similar sense of humor. So I think that, yes, the word gel is like literally perfect. I think that our sense of humor is gel very, very well together. And what I'll share this like thought. I don't know. This is so funny. I think about this so much when doing your books, Chris. Like, I'll come upon this part and I'll be like, oh my God, I know how he wants me to say this. I know what he means here. And an example of a line that was read really incorrectly that always sticks in my craw. Everybody remembers it. And I blame bad direction more than anything. It's not a great line, but the performance was as bad as it was because the director and the actor didn't understand the writer. And that is in the original X-Men movie, which is widely regarded as being the worst line in the film, when Storm is about to zap Toad with lightning. And she says the immortal line, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?" And there's like this zoom on her face, and she's like, "Da-dum! The same thing that happens to everyone else." And like, or everything else. And then she zaps him. And it's like, oh, what? Like, me, as the director, I have always thought the reason that line is the most epically bad line is because she did it wrong. Like, that was meant to be thrown away. Like, she turned it into this profound second
moment to
the second half of that she made so big, and it's like, no, the second half should have been thrown away. She should have gone, "Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? Da-doom! The same thing that happens to everything else. Kaboom!"
Yeah.
And is that a great line? No. But is it as bad as it was in the movie? No, it's much better. So like, I don't know. There's just like that lack of connection for that, and it will always stick in my brain as the perfect example of when the writer is misunderstood by the performer and the director. Literally didn't know how they were supposed to do that. They're like, I don't know. Just say it. I don't know what they were thinking. And the funny thing is that's one of the 2 Joss Whedon lines that he wrote for that script. He wrote 2 things. The second line was, "You're a dick," which was very funny. But that one's just so bad, the freaking Storm one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there are lots of moments in this where I think of that, because I'm like, maybe not every single person would get that exact thing that you're going for. But I'm like, no, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You got to throw it away. He wants me to throw it away.
Well, that right there is a direct callback to earlier when I said, like, you read it like how I would have read it, because you get those moments. And I mean, part of it is because I think we have similar senses of humor, and part of it is also because we actually hung out quite a bit, at conventions and conferences, and you've been to my house here for a shindig, so. That feels really good. Tim, as far as gelling with Tim, you guys are family, so read into that what you will. And from my end of it, I mean, most of it was just like yeeting instructions at Tim, and then Tim being like, "Can you clarify for me?" And then me forgetting to clarify, and then him going to Steve, and Steve being like, "I'll cover for Chris because he's the shit show."
Vicarious gelling. I mean, you're selling yourself short a bit there, Chris. But yeah, I mean, for sure, that was the experience. It was just like, Steve and you have a strong enough, connection and a back and forth of gelling and being on the same page as creators that, like, anything that Steve would ask for was like vicariously a request of yours, because he's like realizing that this is something that would elevate the book, this is something that would be enhancing it and just driving the point home more. And I'm like, okay, yeah, rock on. And I was mostly just excited for you to get to hear stuff, Chris, and get to see your opinion on stuff. But once I was able to kind of get just general feedback up front of like, yeah, I like this vibe, yeah, I like this direction, it's like, all right, cool, we're off to the races, let's run with it. Because shy of just getting some feedback on the initial opening theme, because then everything else was based around that, and all just kind of matriculated out to like the sound effects and the closing theme and all the little other things needed that first piece of music. So that was like, I really wanted you to be like, yeah, the freaking let's go, like the big time support on that. And then once you had that, it was kind of no worries of like everything else will just fall into place. I don't have to worry too much about it.
Yeah, you got the lane, right?
Yeah, right. I have the lane, exactly. So,
and can I just a fun fact for those still here, because it's almost 11 o'clock, and I'm sure we'll be stopping soon, but like, there's a fun fact for those who are still here. There is exactly one sound effect in this book that was not created by Tim. one, and it's in the book one time. Chris, do you know what one it is?
No.
It is. I needed a wah wah because you literally said it. You said he literally heard a wah wah trumpet sound, like wah wah, and I'm like, well, I am putting in a wah wah.
That's
And there
awesome.
is a site that I've used forever with royalty-free handmade sound effects that people just make and upload, and some of them are garbage and some of them are amazing, and they totally work. And I've used this site forever. It's freesound.org, and royalty-free sound effects. That I literally won. That's it. And I'm like, I have to do it.
I've completely forgotten about that. It's so funny.
You need that tuba.
Yeah.
So before
it's a tuba. That's what it is.
Probably. I don't know. That's what I would do.
I think it's a trombone.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So one last set of compliments for you guys, because I believe that you deserve to hear it because it's important. Because so much of what we do is in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
When I've said this to Steve before, but like I have been working on developing this project for quite a while now, and I knew that you guys had the chops because you worked on the podcast, and I knew Steve had done great narration because Mark of the Witchworm, that audiobook was fantastic, and I knew that I wanted to kind of like work with Steve on this because I just really felt that he was going to do what I hoped for. And then when he was like, hey, we got to get Tim on it, it was like another level of super excitement, right? And Steve sent over the first 15 for me to listen to, which when you're producing an audiobook, that's one of the things that that's the process, right? Like you start the project, you offer, they accept, and then you have the first 15, which is the point where you're like, I like this, I don't like this, don't do this, yes, do that, right? That's like your chance to coach. And Steve obviously worked with me through the whole process, but he sent the first 15 and I listened to it and I was like, oh boy, that's really good. Like, yeah, that's really, really good. And this is before the sound effects even made it in. Right. And I went to my wife and I was like, will you listen to this for me? Because I think it's amazing. And I need someone to talk me out of it. Like, tell me I need to give him feedback.
Right, I need someone to be critical of this.
Right. and we were in our bedroom and we laid on the bed and I just like put my phone in the middle and I played it and she didn't say anything for like 8 minutes.
Oh my God. Are you guys pregnant again because of me?
No. That's physically an impossibility, if you know what I mean. And she looked over and she's like, I have goosebumps. And she did. That's she so legit had goosebumps. And she's like, that's absolutely amazing. Like, that is amazing. And I was like, all right, cool. Awesome. And I messaged him and, like I was just over the moon. My wife would have been like, it's trash. Like if it was bad, she's like, she is the number one person who will just give me a reality check.
Yeah, will not in any way sugarcoat it. She's like, I will salt coat this shit.
Yep, she will skull fuck it. So phase 2 of that after the fact is we started to get the audio stuff from Tim, and you added it into something. I forget what part of the book it was, and you sent me the next thing and you're like, hey, check this out. I got some of Tim's stuff in there, and then I added some of these new voices, and that was when you like started to do the the pitching up and pitching down to fine tune in the different characters. And I was actually at a party when I got the message from you, and we were celebrating my buddy Brent retiring from the Army, and it was like 20 or 30 of us all just like in his backyard having beers and stuff like that. And I got the ding and I was like, bye. And I literally like walked out into the woods and like
just immersed yourself in
behind
nature.
a tree and just like listened. And I think it was basically the same file, but punched up dramatically. And I got goosebumps because then it was like, oh shit. Now
then you were pregnant.
Right. Yeah. Like I had a little butt baby, and I got goosebumps, and I walked back in and I was like, yeah, come here, like come into the woods with me. And it wasn't for a fun reason, but it was for a fun reason. And I played it again and she was like, God damn, that is so good. Like the sounds are perfect. The way he did the voices is perfect. And then I went back down in and my buddies who were at that party, a lot of them have read my books or listened to my audiobooks, and they're, some friends who support me. And I grabbed a couple of them and I was like, hey, will you guys listen to this? And we went off into the woods like a bunch of weirdos. I played it again for them, and they were like, that's what the new book is going to be? Like, yeah. They're like, dude, that's amazing. And again, these are my friends who, would have been like, I don't know, man. And they were just like over the moon.
Nice.
And
that's awesome.
Rad. Super rad.
You guys need to know that, like, I'm not just like blowing smoke up your ass and saying like, great job, because I'm obligated for some weird reason. But, like, the people who have had the chance to experience what you two put together on my behalf from my story, people who hear it are like, damn, like that is cool.
Super cool.
That's great.
Hopefully the story gives them enough of a reason to listen to all of the performance.
It will.
The music.
It will.
But sure. I mean, you guys did just amazing stuff, and I'm really grateful. And thank you.
Oh, dude, thanks so much. I mean, I'm so grateful, that you looped us in. I mean, this is just so cool. I mean, you told me about this a year ago or a year and a half ago, even that you were planning on doing this, and I can't believe we're here talking about it, and it's about to come out in 5 days.
Yeah,
I can't believe
it's
it.
really incredible. Yeah, I mean, honestly, getting to be a part of this whole creative endeavor is just kind of a gift. It's super cool, and Steve for thinking of me and mentioning it to you, and you being into it, and to hear so many people's positive response to just the first 15 and everything like that. I mean, it's just nothing but warm fuzzies. It's super cool. It's like the best feeling ever. And I really feel like, even when I was listening to the previews that Steve was sending me, I was like, oh damn, like I want to listen to this shit when it comes out. Like, and I just don't even, regardless of my input on it. And I mean, those are some great, first impressions from people. It's super encouraging. And like, I don't know, being into like just kind of like niche kind of random shit all my life, it never really felt like, oh hey, I'm gonna make video game music for someone's audiobook would be a thing that I would ever say. And then people would be excited about it and would hear it and actually, potentially be experiencing it on an actual platform, an actual thing that is real, other than just I uploaded shit to my SoundCloud. So
this time we got an actual train to hitch our wagons to for once. Look at this. Look at this guy.
I mean, if it follows the trajectory of my average book release, thousands of people will be hearing this. Tens of thousands potentially, if it has any legs at all. And like, I remember thinking that, when I first started writing, that like I would be happy if 100 people read my stuff. And at the time, that was absolutely a realistic goal that I would have been absolutely thrilled with. And I've been lucky enough and diligent enough to continue the success. And now, the numbers have changed, and now I do this for a living. But the idea that like there are so many strangers in the world that have experienced something that I created is still really a really weird thought to think of.
Yeah, it is.
So I want to make y'all feel really awkward about that right now, and think that potentially tens of thousands of people in the next 3 to 4 weeks are going to hear Steve's gorgeous Irish accent. And he's remarkably talented.
All the Declans of the world will finally uprise. And
be Christ, fuck off, you cunt.
Exactly. But anyway, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And earlier, Tim, you said something that I just want to come back on. And I forget how you phrased it earlier, but you were like, whatever comes, you own these sounds and you'll be able to use them, and maybe we'll do new stuff. And without giving too much away, because I haven't even finished the first like real arc of this series, but I have structure that the story, these main characters who, however long they manage to survive, could potentially move into different genres, right?
Very cool.
Because Seth and
I was wondering.
are in a zombie apocalypse scenario, right? And I started with that because I have such a big following in that genre, and I love writing in that genre, and this gives me
Yep.
a chance to do new things that I don't do in my other, Zompoc stuff. But depending upon how it goes, if people receive it well and they like the characters, like it could very easily pivot to dark fantasy, where they suddenly move over to a different game because something changed, or the environment went wonky or whatever. And I think that would be like so much fun to take these characters and run them through different scenarios and different universes and different settings, right?
Totally.
Like it
Yep.
would be really cool to put them in like a high fantasy setting or a dark fantasy setting, or like ultra sci-fi spaceship setting. And Steve, in the book at one point, he's reading off a list of the games, the scenarios that he could potentially be hired to work in. And there's a various list of like genres and weirdness. So my hope would be that if the story does have legs, that I would be able to then like set a next phase of that story in a different game world, like Westworld, right?
Right.
There's a Westworld, and then there's a Greek world, and then there's this world. And this world.
Yeah.
But if we do that, we're going to need different sounds.
Different sounds,
right?
yeah.
We're going to need new intro music. We're going to need new outro music. So let's hope Audible shows up and people like the story, and we can keep doing this for years to come. And
so everybody out there still watching and listening, tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
So again, shill your stuff. Tim, where can people find more of your work if they want to go down your rabbit hole, or up your rabbit hole if you prefer?
Yeah, up, through, around, in. I don't know if you have to go around the tree first or what.
You could just reach around.
Yeah, always have the courtesy to give men a reach around. But the main place you can find my music would be YouTube. So if you just look up 8-Bit Alchemy, just the number 8 and then Bit Alchemy on YouTube, you'll find me. All my stuff is on there. I also do have a SoundCloud, though I haven't really put anything there. And then I have one album that is on Bandcamp. So if you go on to Bandcamp, and also same, just look up 8-Bit Alchemy. My concept album of Mega Man style music is on there. That's that art project that I mentioned earlier that I had done with Steve's art and everything. That's all on my Bandcamp. So yeah, it's out there. I'm also on Blue Sky. I'm on Facebook. Yeah, just doing a little bit of all that, but that's where I'm at.
Cool. What about you, Steve?
Well, I have a bunch of books out there. If you search Steve Van Samson, you will find stuff at your local bookseller or Amazon if you absolutely have to. But I want to promote two things. In the writing world, I'm very excited. I have a couple stories in this brand new comic book that has been a very long time coming. I want to promo this. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's Gore Shriek Resurrectus Volume 3. Gore Shriek was a 1980s indie anthology book that was kind of part of the super violent black and white comic boom of the 80s that spawned things like Dead World, Ninja Turtles, The Crow, like lots of very hyper violent stuff came out of that sort of movement. And Gore Shriek was this great, like, I like to call it evil creep show. It's like creep show, but it's more mean spirited, but same kind of thing. A lot of ironic sort of endings and kind of like evil Twilight Zone type stuff. Very fun, very good book. Launched the careers of lots of people back in the day, including Greg Capullo, got a start on that book. But anyway, so Rough House Publishing is one of my side gigs. I love them so much, and been working with them since 2019. They actually published, we've mentioned it a few times, Mark of the Witchworm, which was my 2021 novel, my dark fantasy novel. And so anyway, if you are interested in horror comics, there are 3 issues of Gore Shriek Resurrectus. It's all original art, all original stories. I have 1 story in volume 2, and I'm going to have 2 in volume 3. And myself and Derek Rook, who is one of the main artists, and he's the CEO of the company. You can find us everywhere around Massachusetts in the the fall. We go around Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and sometimes we go further than that. But we'll be having a lot of fun this year with that, and it's been a long time coming for issue 3. So very excited that that's finally coming out. Definitely head over to roughhousepublishing.com if you're interested. There's lots of good stuff on that. Lots, the books that I've done with them are there. The comics are there, and there's original art. There's lots of fun stuff. So yeah, pretty cool.
Gore Shriek.
Yeah, Gore Shriek Resurrectus, Volume 3. And you'll find out all that good stuff there. And if you're into nostalgic geekiness and you think that sounds fun, check out Retro Redoctopus. The second word was made up, and if you don't know how to spell it, it's the word octopus with R-I-D at the beginning. It's not red, but it's Redoctopus. It's like a fake word we made up to mean like what's even more ridiculous than redunculous. It goes ridiculous, redunculous, redoctopus. That's what it is. And we just have fun. So, and we're, like I said, just going to start season 8 on Tuesday. And we have a great episode to start out the whole year. It's all about Rob Reiner movies because we absolutely had to. We're just such big fans of him. Oh, yeah. And then you can't not. We had to. It just had to be done. And we recorded that already. And we also recorded our first interview segment. We have a sideshow. And the first guest for that, we call it the Brig, is the guy who invented and did all the artwork for the classic arcade game Rampage. If you guys remember Rampage, I'm sure everybody remembers Rampage. Yep. This guy, Brian Colin, he was awesome. We talked to him, very excited. And the second guest is going to be this guy right up here, Mr. Chris Philbrook. We're recording that next week, and that'll be out in 3 weeks, I believe. So lots of fun stuff coming out. And yeah, if you want to check us out, Retro Redoctopus, we're everywhere. You just have to find us on your podcast listening app of choice.
Very cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys. Let's adjourn, let people go to bed, let us go to bed. And if those of you who are still here haven't pre-ordered the book, you may. Many retailers, you can pre-order it. You can also pre-order the Audible on Audible, narrated and music by these guys. Anyway, I'll be back on the 7th. I'm not sure if either of you guys are going to be around. If you are, great. If not, that's fine too. You've done enough. So, c'est la vie. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys.